Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the King of Average podcast with your boy BB.
Yo, this is Medic.
All right, we're just gonna get right into it. For today's episode, the topic is going to be the importance of vision. The importance of vision. Obviously, when it comes down to personal growth and as it relates, at this point, I think just the title alone, I don't need to explain to you why it's important to have vision in life, whether that's related to business, whether that's related to your social cues, whether that's related to your fitness, whatever the case is. The importance of vision, let's get right into it. I'm trying to think of an analogy here. I'm trying to think of a cool analogy.
Okay.
Right? Let's say, for example, you want to go on vacation, you want to go on a road trip.
Mm-hmm.
And let's make it even extra. You got the homies with you. You're all together in the car.
Okay.
You want to go on a road trip.
Mm-hmm.
You know you want to go somewhere where the sun is shining, the views are rad, right? Everything's beautiful. You're there literally for the sake of just catching this immaculate vibe, right? But you have no sense of direction. You don't have a map. You don't have Google Maps. You got nothing. You literally all just get into the car and you start driving, right? How are you going to get to your destination? How are you going to get to where you need to go if you have no idea what direction to start in?
I don't think you can.
No, and then it's the same when it comes down to especially business, right? I feel like at least the way we are right now in our lives, a lot of things are really revolving around building these streams of income. A lot of it's financial for us right now, whether it's because of the fact that we're men, whether it's the fact that we're Arab, or just because of the fact that that's what we grind for.
That's
what
what
we
we
look
are.
for. In a situation like business, if you have a vision, whether it's a product, whether it's the vision of owning property, whether it's the vision of a service-based business, a tech-based business, if you have no vision, if you don't know what it is you're trying to achieve, every single time you're ready to sit down and grind and plug in those hard hours, if you don't have that vision set up, you're going to end up spending a lot of time staring at the wall, quite simply because you don't know where you're going. How do you know where to start if you don't know where you're going? What do you got to say?
I think when it comes down to having a vision, it's literally the difference between you following through with an idea and you just possibly dabbling a little bit with it and then get burnt out.
Right. It's like between like the theoretical and the tangible.
That's all it is.
You can dream all day. You can
Yep.
dream all day. If you have no vision, that dream will never come reality.
So talking about that, so I'm still reading that book, Tom Cabot's by James Clear, and I remember before this podcast, I opened up the book, and then the second I opened up the book to a random page, I had one underlined, and this sentence said, "When your dreams are vague, it's easy to rationalize little expectations all day long, and never get around to the specific things you need to do to succeed." This is exactly what we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a vision, if you don't know where you're going, for the most part, you know that you want something. You want the vibe. You want a beach. You want city. Whatever it is, we know for the most part what we want. But if there's no like structure to it, if there's no, I'm gonna have to do A, B, C, D in order to get to where I am, then what's the point of even like going through with everything? Because eventually you're gonna lose that direction. You're gonna lose that train of thought, that momentum that's gonna get you to, or that's gonna be needed to get you to where you need to go.
Funny enough, that quote actually, the second time you read it around, it made me realize something. Something I get caught up with personally on a day-to-day basis is, although I do have certain visions, I do have certain goals, and whether or not I have them written down or structured or anything at all, to some degree, I have a sense of an idea of what I need to be doing specifically in order to work towards that goal. What I end up doing throughout the day is I end up focusing on like other forms of productivity, a little thing here, a little thing there, and I start to convince myself away from the big vision as if some of those little things are just as significant.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing you know, you've prolonged this vision of yours. You've prolonged this idea that you want to start, right? Next thing you know, you've prolonged it a couple weeks, a couple months. Next thing you know, we've been talking about doing a podcast for 2 years, but 2 years later, we finally get started doing it.
We need a microphone. We get a microphone. Still, all right, we need whatever it is, some sort of like soundboard. We need this. What application are we gonna?
And then how many times have we told ourselves, oh, it's because of our ignorance in the setup? It's like, bro, you learn that in 5 minutes.
Honestly, that's just the ignorance in general.
Yeah.
That's a lack of vision. So that's actually a great example to use from us personally.
Mm-hmm.
So with us, exactly what BB said, with us like wanting to start up the podcast and everything else, it took us a while. I think it took us way too long. Maybe it wasn't as important to us at that moment. We've always known that we wanted to start up a podcast, but eventually in life, you do for the most part what is needed. And we do what we want. So when it comes down to something fun, you're gonna make time to do what's fun. I don't care how tired you are, if it's a money situation, you'll come up with whatever it is in order to get whatever you want done. Depends at the end of the day how bad that you want it. Whether it's your body, whether it's your business goal, whether it's your finances, whether it's a relationship, whatever it is, you need a vision to get you there. And if you don't know where you're going, it's like, best analogy is you're in a room. It's not even your room, because for the most part, we already know exactly the layout of our room. You go to a room, turn off all the lights. There's literally no lights, no sunlight, pitch dark. I'm gonna tell you, I want you to pick up a glass from the cabinet. You do not know the layout of this room. You have absolutely no vision, zero visibility. What are the chances of you going to that cabinet and getting that glass? It's very easy to assume it's going to be slim to none.
Right. Or you're going to knock something along the way. And you're going to put yourself into so many other setbacks before you actually find the glass.
If you even find the glass.
Yeah.
What happens if you have so many setbacks without the vision, without everything, that you're like, I can't do this, I give up.
Mm-hmm. Or you still, or you're looking, you know what you're looking for. But because you have no vision, you could spend weeks, months, years just wasting time trying to head towards that goal, towards that vision, but still nothing's happening, nothing's coming up.
Yep.
Just to piggyback off of that a little bit, you mentioned the point of we are willing to do absolutely anything to fulfill our desires. And that resonated with me way too hard. And I know a lot of people, they end up in very, very strange places in their life because they're, in a sense, they're trying to like run away from a certain trauma of their personal life. Something deep, whether it's within the family, whether it's something that happens to them at school, whatever the case is, right? Certain traumas cause them to reorganize their priorities, because this was something that I noticed in myself. They will reorganize their priorities, and the stuff that they need to do, the stuff that actually is, once again, going back to significant versus insignificant, the stuff that is significant in their life that they need to get done, they'll start putting that at the bottom of the list in order to prioritize what? Hanging out, catching a vibe. And then if it gets a little bit dark, a little bit too crazy, they'll start to prioritize any dollar I get is going to go towards the pipe, my next batch of weed, whatever edible I can get my hands on. So the point I was trying to connect that to is when you mentioned we will literally do anything to fulfill our desires. One of the things that I personally had to do was I had to tell myself, yo, if you have any respect for yourself, you're going to reorganize your priorities. You're going to say less to hanging out. You're going to say less to spending money on just random things or dinners or this and that, or, $75 hookah here, $50 hookah there. You're going to respect yourself and you're going to reorganize your priorities in order that you can accomplish your vision. So I wanted to touch up on that because that was really important, because a lot of people are basically just going to be in denial. They're going to be in denial, and they justify that denial. They justify them reorganizing their priorities by turning it emotional. They'll say, "Oh, but I feel this way. Oh, but I never get the chance to blah blah blah."
They victimize themselves.
They victimize themselves on the money. Absolutely. So recognize, hey, am I the type of person who will reorganize my priorities for the sake of my desires? Okay, scratch it. We got to figure something else out. Can't be doing that all the time. Which leads to the importance of structure. The importance of structure when it comes down to a vision is by far, I think a similar analogy to like how important structure is to vision is like when they say diet is like 90% of fitness, right? Or we can say if we relate to like a sports analogy, the coaching is probably more important than the skill of the individual players. Because those players could be heavily skilled, but if they don't know how to work together as a team, if as a team they don't know how to run the proper plays, then the vision of achieving, the vision of winning game by game, is going to be that much more difficult. So the importance of a coach it's probably like 80% of the work, which is why coaches get paid crazy amounts of money. Which, funny enough, I love how this just clicked into my head. But remember, I was just telling you a moment ago that Saturday's game was really, really dope.
Yeah.
The reason why it was dope is because we played the #1 seed in our division.
Do people know what sport you're playing?
I play rugby.
Okay.
Thank you for we got that out of the way. Let's move on.
We're being super sketchy with our viewers right now.
Everything. So I play rugby, and it's just like an adult league. It's like some people play MBL, some people just play club basketball, club volleyball, whatever. It's a club league for adults, and it's Division 3. So Division 1 would be like professional. Division 2 is like on the status of like semi-pro, like colleges and stuff like that. Where Division 3 is just a bunch of Joe Schmoes who have nothing better to do. They want to get around and start tackling a bunch of grown men. You know what I mean? Why not? But it's fun. Rugby's great. So anyways, so this past Saturday, we had a game versus the #1 seed in our division, Beaumont. Now, we beat them last year. Cool. But this year, they became the #1 seed, and they've been kicking everybody's butt in the league, in the division, because they, like, basically started inviting other players from other teams, stronger players. They started inviting them to come play for them instead, so they have, like, in a sense, they built a super team, you could say.
They're stacked.
Right? They are stacked. We start off the game strong, and we managed to score within the first couple of minutes. It completely changed their behavior, and for the rest of the game, we absolutely took control. We gave them no space to breathe, and we just tackle after tackle, we just put them deeper into the ground. And eventually, we beat them. The #1 seed in our division, we beat them. They've beat just about every other team in the division, and we managed to completely squash them. Not completely, but whatever. And I was talking to one of their guys at the social, because it's really cool. Whenever you play a rugby game, wherever the home team is, they host the away team for social. Basically, it's free booze, right? And burgers. But whatever the case is. I was talking to one of their guys on their team, and he straight up told me, he said, going into your guys' game, we signed you guys off. We signed you guys off. Even our coach was like, yeah, this team, Beach Cities, they're nothing to worry about. So they didn't even properly prepare for our game, which made the victory so much sweeter. But once again, it comes back to, we had a coach. Our coach, he decided to structure our practices so that we can specifically become good enough to be able to defeat this team. And guess what happened?
You did.
What a great feeling it was. And it was so rewarding to know that the structure that we had followed gave us the result we were looking for. So that's the importance of structure when it comes down to a vision.
So, like, I think of structure as like a foundation. Whenever you look into like a building, it just didn't come about.
The blueprint, rather.
Of course. I'm saying it's like a building in general. You look at it from outside and you're like, this didn't pop out of the ground and just became a building, right? It started off as just a flat piece of earth, and then foundation, and then the structures, beams, the piping systems for plumbing and etc. Everything else that went into it. You have all these steps that needed to go into that whole finished piece that you're looking at, that you're admiring right now. Now, when it comes down to like the vision, you need to vision the end goal for the most part, which is going to be that house. Structure is what's going to get you to the completed product. Whenever you have we all get kind of like, oh, I have this brilliant idea. Okay, now you have some sort of a vision. Now you have some sort of an idea of what you want. But how are you going to get there? Has it ever happened to you before? Where you're just chilling there, you're like, what a genius idea. Oh my God, I just thought about the funniest TikTok idea. What do we always say to each other about like funny videos and stuff like that, or like maybe inside jokes that we have all the time? Mm-hmm. We're sitting on trends.
We're
literally sitting on trends. At least that's what it feels like. But we have at least the idea of something that's genius or something that's funny, or for the most part, it's pretty stupid. But we don't have the structure. We don't have the, hey, look, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will get you to that end product. So having a structure, having some sort of almost like a routine in your life is very, very important, because we all remember that first time when, not all of us, but for some of us that went to college, at least I remember mine, right? I wasn't the best, high school student. And I remember going to college, like, how the heck am I going to do with this? I don't know how to properly structure an essay. And when it comes down to everything else regarding college, I don't know how I'm going to do it. Eventually, they teach you how to properly become a student, how to properly succeed in any class, whether it's accounting, whether it's, English or whatever class that you took. They eventually give you the blueprints, the structure of, if you do this, then you will pass. And that was as simple as that. So we tend to overcomplicate things. We tend to stress the things that we don't really need to stress. Oh, I need a piece of paper right now. I can't do anything until I get a piece of paper. You get the piece of paper, you're like, I'm a little thirsty right now. I can't think until I drink some water. And then you finally get that water in, and you're like, man, it's a little chilly outside, huh? It's a little chill. You start making all these things. Eventually, someone hits you up. You're like, oh, I'm busy. I gotta go. I'll get back to this tomorrow. It's been 2 years. It's been never. You know what I'm saying? Like, you are completely lost. You need structure in your life, in your goal that you're trying to achieve, in the vision overall.
With you saying that, it's funny because it's true. Every single day, even though you might have, I guess, in a sense, a starting point, you might know your starting point. But from there, moving forward might be difficult. And we're going to talk about this, I believe, in either the next podcast or a couple podcasts later, but we're going to talk about the importance of discipline as well. And the beauty behind having structure is, instead of you sitting there with this idea and trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to achieve this idea? When you have a structure, like you said, you literally have a step-by-step process in front of you. So all you have to focus on is the next foot forward, right? When you have that structure laid out, you focus. Step one, how can I finish step one? What do I need? And step one might come with a single problem. It might come with a few problems, but you know, okay, what I need to get step one done is XYZ. Boom, you get XYZ done. And then all of a sudden you see yourself climbing up this ladder towards your vision, towards your goal. And you're able to simply break it down and have it less overwhelming on your mind because the structure allows it to be a simple step-by-step process. And without a doubt, building the structure sometimes is going to be as difficult. And maybe that's part of the grind. Maybe that's part of the grunt work, right? The hard work of it, which kind of like makes me always think of like all these social media influencer guru type people.
Oh my God.
Who just, they want to sell you the answer. They want to sell you the answer. Or instead of even, before we even talk about they want to sell you the answer, they want to start off by starting their video in some mansion, right? Or it's like, who was that one guy who like...
Ty Lopez. I already know.
I thought that was his name. He managed to piss off everybody in like, what was it? 2013, 2016 maybe?
Yeah.
He managed to absolutely piss off everybody. Hey, welcome to my garage. You see these Lamborghinis right here? It's all because of these books. And we're like, skip.
Yeah, right?
skip.
I reported it was offensive.
But yeah, it's situations like that, right? People use this social media, they use this sick mindset where they want to immediately start off, which, you know, to the degree of like,
it's a selling tactic, man.
To the degree of it, whatever, yeah, the marketing tactic, the selling tactic.
I made $1 million last week.
That's gonna
boom.
Hook
You're like, what the heck? How?
It's gonna hook the viewers. Absolutely. I understand. I get it. One of the things you got to realize is like, not just, hey, it's going to require hard work, because you're going to hear that 1,000 times from 1,000 different people. So it's not going to make a difference. Believe it or not, somebody who has a marketing agency that I know, not necessarily on a personal level, but I'm like well acquainted with. This dude, if you look at his profile right now on Instagram, it's got the mansions, it's got the babes, it's even got other like, I guess like small time influencers who are like giving him credit and like saying, oh, you know, after I started working with him, blah 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 blah. When I know all of that was rented, people were paid off, followers were bought, whatever the case is, right? And you know, once again, if it's a selling tactic, it's a selling tactic. But what you need to understand when it comes down to your personal vision is you cannot let this social media delusion completely dilute the image of what achieving is possible, right? Whether it's the baby steps in the beginning, the small wins in the beginning, or the final big wins in the end. You can't let that social media delusion completely pull you away from reality, because the reality is there is going to be no shortcut. And if there is a shortcut, chances are you're in a meth lab. And I mean, hey, dude, it is a shortcut. It has a high yield for sure. But
man, you've been watching way too much Breaking Bad, man.
You know, so it's funny because I wanted to relate it to the car business actually, because the car business is like you can make money quick.
You can,
but the risks are insane.
Yeah,
the risks are insane, and you know we've we've personally seen how the lack of structure will be our demise,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just because we saved a couple $100 every month here and there on X, Y, and Z. Next thing you know,
You're spending thousands.
you're spending thousands.
Yeah.
Next thing you know. And basically, most importantly, is people on social media, people will use social media to flex the absolute epitome of what life has to offer. And that should never be something to make you lose motivation as someone who's just starting out. Go ahead.
So there's a great line that says, and I love this quote. It says, "Comparison is a thief of all joy." So with this whole social media dilemma, you see people that are traveling, you see people that are constantly buying new vehicles, people who are rocking the newest jewelry, people who are just living this rock star lifestyle. You're like, how do you afford this? How are you? They don't really know everything that it took to possibly obtain that, or
Finesse that.
to finesse that. You automatically assume that this person is working way harder than you,
They got the bag.
they're way better than you, and then you just start attacking yourself, right? What am I doing with my life? Where am I going? I'm not getting paid as much, blah, 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 blah. Eventually, you're down while they're, I'd like to say, up, or maybe they're giving us the illusion that they are up.
They're putting up a front.
But guess what? They're still finessing. They're finessing you into a dream, and you bought it. You literally bought the course. You literally bought the dream. Now, by no means am I saying that like all courses are some sort of finesse. I can speak on BB's behalf as well. We're not saying that at all. We all need some sort of mentorship, which is important because we need to learn. We need mentors who are where we want to be, tell us all the mistakes that they've gone through in order for us to possibly not go through all those roadblocks or whatever. They have the vision, they have the structure. It's almost like, just follow this and you'll get to where I'm at.
The right mentors will literally see your problems and they will give you an outline. And it's funny because whenever you discuss your problems with them, with the right mentors, the way they discuss the solution, it makes you immediately realize, why was this ever stressing me out to the degree in which it did?
Yeah.
So mentors are really, really cool because in a sense, they have that blueprint already ready. Maybe it's not perfectly designed for your vision.
It's not tailored to you.
It's not tailored to you, but maybe there's just a few things that you're going to have to change up in the details. But for the most part, it is a structure that will get you closer than where you are right now. But I do have a question. Where does one go to find mentors and mentorship?
If you were to ask me, I personally think it just happens. You need to put yourself in a position, in an area, wherever it is that's needed in order for you to be around other people in that, basically in that realm that you're in. Now, sometimes it could be very random. You could be randomly at a restaurant,
Earth Cafe.
You could be anywhere and the person right next to you is having a conversation, or maybe you're having a conversation, the other person butts in, or whatever it is, and hey, what do you do? I do this. No way, I do that. Blah blah blah, and they're your mentor. It happens like that.
Right.
Or you have, of course, not meet and greets, but it's like those social hours, or I'm not sure exactly of like the specific term.
There's like literal networking events.
Yeah. Right. I'm pretty sure there's an actual like term, but yeah, it's the networking events where you're able to meet other people of your status or where you're trying to be at, or just other business-minded people or people of real estate or whatever it is that you're in. I think that that's where you got to go. But moral of my whole rant right now is that if you want it, go get it. Talk to people. Be social. You don't know who you're going to talk to. And maybe if you're not even thinking about a career path of that person, maybe what they said to you at that moment might resonate in your whole life, what anyone else may have possibly said that is in your field. So do not shoot a person down. Do not shoot an opportunity down just because they may not align with everything that you're doing. Because one thing I've learned is that you will come across a person in your life or people that you might discount. You might look the other way. But then the second you actually hear them out for what they have to say, they will change your life. And you'll automatically look at yourself like you're a fool for ever even judging a person, thinking that they're lower or they're not even worthy to be listened to. Put your phone down, talk to people that are around you. It's really that simple.
Putting yourself out there is probably the most important, probably the only way to actually develop a proper network and find those mentors. Because it relates, it makes me think of the example of the one mentor I have. You know, I've mentioned him a few times. His name's Roger. Amazing individual. And I'll never forget how I met him. It was just such a random moment. But we were working, when I was working as a personal trainer in the gym, and the assistant fitness manager it was a really slow day, and we were supposed to be prospecting, and we're kind of just standing around not really doing much, and the assistant fitness manager grabs me and one of the other trainers, and he goes, okay, listen, first person who gets into a workout with a random person, the first one of you two who gets into a random workout, I'm gonna hand off one of my clients. We're like, all right, cool, sounds like a fun competition, you know, there's a reward to it, why not? The moment I turn the corner from his cubicle, I see this guy walking past us. And I told myself for a split second, nah, this is too early, not this guy, maybe the next guy. And then I was like, no, this is literally the point. You just talk to the very next person. And so I stopped him dead in his tracks. And I introduced myself. I met him and I was like, what's going on? What are you working out today? This and that. He told me, I'm doing a bit of a shoulder workout. I was like, how about I put you through a shoulder? And it was literally just right there in the spur of the moment where I even hesitated to talk to this guy. And if I decided to stick with that hesitation, not put myself out there, I would have lost one of the most important people in my life, right? So you
Wow.
really do have to put yourself out there. And it's going to be in the spur of the moment. But other mentors that I always like to think of is people's dads, successful fathers. Whether it's your close homies, whether it's somebody in the community, whatever the case is, there's a lot of them out there. And they're not going to hassle you if you beg for like 2 minutes of their time. And the cool thing is about putting yourself out there is typically somebody who is successful, is already successful. When they see you come at them and you're going out, you're being open, you're going out and about with this energy that you're hungry to learn and you're hungry to achieve, chances are, as much as you want them as a mentor, they will want you more as a disciple, let's say, for the lack of a better word, right? They are willing to take you under their wing because they will see that you actually give a crap.
So I'm glad that you brought that up. As you're talking about that, I remembered automatically from what I read in this other book. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence Others by Dale Carnegie.
Top five.
Legit. Where the man said, people want to feel significant. So if you go to this amo, this person, this father that owns all this business, has all this money, whatever it is, and you come up to him with all this energy and just you're on him. You're making this guy feel like he's important. What he has to say is literally word. It's true and everything else. This man is gonna want to continually feel important. He's going to want to be around you. He's going to want to basically push you towards the right direction. And if he can't push you towards the right direction, at least he'll find someone that can. Because all this whole momentum thing is, and we talked about it last episode, the whole thing of when you're on top of a hill and you're about to roll a ball down a hill, right? If you barely push it, it's eventually going to go. But if you completely shove it, it's going to get to the whatever it is, the destination quicker. When it comes down to feeling important, if you exert the energy, you will find a solution. You will reach an end goal, and hopefully that end goal will be favorable at the end of the day. Regardless of whether you failed or whether you actually achieved, you will then feel that satisfaction of you actually doing something instead of talking.
And with the right mentors, it's kind of cool to think that if you show them the vision, they'll show you the structure.
You show them the vision.
You show them the vision.
They'll show you the way.
That's it. That's absolutely it.
Yeah, I like that.
Now, the biggest takeaway of today, we're going to finish off this because the question kind of falls now on us. How does one with a vision develop structure that they can actually begin working on? So what's the takeaway from today?
I feel like my biggest takeaway from this whole thing was the importance of finding someone that's already there. And if you can't, search it up online. And if you can't, read about it. And if you can't, there's always going to be solutions. But guess what? If you have infinite excuses and infinite reasons of why you can't do something, a person, I don't care if they're the right person for you, they're never going to be good enough, because you will never be satisfied truly, because you'd always think that I need something else in order for me to achieve this goal or happiness or this or that. You'll never be happy. So my biggest takeaway is find a mentor. Find someone that you trust, which is tough in this life, but learn. And also try to structure your own your vision. Have your own structure of where you want to go. That will lead you to your own nirvana or your own success down the line.
The biggest takeaway for me is that student mentality, for sure. That student mentality, always being open to learning, and like you said beautifully, read about it. Maybe go take a course. How many people have you met recently that were just like, I wanted to learn a skill. I spent 2 months focusing on that one skill. Now I've structured an entire business around it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that student mentality. If you don't have a mentor, go find a mentor. It's hard to find a mentor, if you're socially awkward, whatever the case is, learn. Figure out ways to learn about it. The other biggest takeaway is focus. Focus. Because even while you're searching, especially actually when you don't have a structure and you're trying to develop a structure, you can start creating excuses as to why it's difficult to develop a structure. All because of what? Procrastination, all because of your lack of focus. The third biggest takeaway for me is don't fear a first draft.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, build out a simple structure. And guess what? It's only a first draft. The structure doesn't work. Dude, scratch it up, take what worked, discard what didn't work, and recreate a new structure. It's never the final draft. It's no matter what the achievement is, right? When you're developing a structure towards it, you go talk to anybody who is like 30 years into bodybuilding. You go talk to anybody who's 30 years into any business. You go talk to anybody who's 30 years deep into anything that they're successful at. They will always tell you that there's still opportunities to learn something new, and they add or remove things from their structure as often as every day.
Ooh, I love that. First draft.
Never fear the first draft.
Wow. That was solid, man.
Cool, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
That was very solid. And with all that being said, that concludes this episode. Thank you so much for everyone that's tuned in, and we look forward to everything. We look forward to me bombing this freaking exit, And just like that, I don't know how to freaking finish. What the fudge should I even say, bro? Let's see.
You thank them?
No, I already thanked them.
This has been.
Oh, okay. This has been episode 6. Is this episode 6?
Yes, you can keep it vague.
6. All right, this has been an episode of KOA.
Yeah.
Look forward to.
And then
we look forward to.
This
is Medic. This is BB.
Okay, so run it.
Okay, cool.
Unless you want that to be the exit.
Oh, dude. Bye.
I'm down.
No. Hell no, bro. What the flip?
I was so down.
I know. No, that's horrible. That's horrible. Where did I last finish?
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
King of average. No, I'm saying repeat the 3.
Oh, okay.
Repeat the 3. Thank you, king of average. I've been.
Cool. And just like that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Malik.
And my name is BB.
This is the King of Average podcast, and we look forward to fudge! We look forward to what?
Next time.
We look forward to next time. Done.